Welcome to Hustles and Haboobs, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the stories of Arizona's most inspiring business owners. I'm your host, Amanda Miller, and I'm so excited you're here. I feel lucky to get to share the inspiring stories of these hometown heroes. Get ready to learn how they navigate the haboobs of entrepreneurship, chase their dreams, and build something incredible right here in the Grand Canyon State. Let's hustle. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am well. I am doing super good. I'm really excited about this conversation. When we spoke the first time, there were several things that you shared about your entrepreneurship story that I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. You had some really touching stories and also some very some stories that showed a lot of resilience. But before we dive in, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
So this is Hustles and Haboobs, right? So we're talking about business in Arizona. But what's your favorite restaurant and what do you order when you go there here in AZ?
Okay, so I'm a really big spicy chicken sandwich guy. So I love Nashville hot type chicken sandwiches. So I
Yeah,
would say my favorite here in Arizona that I've tried is Monroe's hot chicken. So
Rose is
they have
good.
one in B in Scottsdale. Hands down, one of the best chicken sandwiches that I've had. So I would have to say Monroe's for the spicy chicken sandwich side.
So when you get your spicy chicken sandwich, are you a slaw guy? Like, do you do the slaw on it, or how do you have?
I do the works. Everything that comes on it, I have it on it. I get it extra spicy. Because I'm the type that I feel like I can be on hot ones, but I take spice really well. So usually I'm right below the hottest one. So
Really?
yes.
Man, I tried not it wasn't I wasn't in Arizona last week, but I tried hot pot for the first time,
Huh?
and I've been wanting to try it. So Korean hot pot, where they bring you all of the fixings and the broth, and their broth is boiling like right in front of you, and you kind of cook your soup right there at the table, but you have like your meats, your veggies, your dumplings, all different types of things. And they have at the one I went to, they had spice drops, and she says, do you want spice drops? So they bring my broth out, and it's getting going, and she's like, do you want spice drops? And I said, and I love spicy, but it seems like the
Yeah.
older I get, the less my body likes spicy. It's like I feel like I'm a wimp, and it's not like I can't take
Yeah.
it, but it's just like it doesn't. And so she says, do you want spice drops? And I always want spice because I love spice, and I'm like, yeah, I
Right.
want spice drops. And she has this little, like a little tincture bottle almost. Like it looks like, there's like a something that I'm gonna put under my eyes or something in there. And I said, well, how many? And she said, how many do you want? And I said, well, how how many do you recommend? And she said, well, my max is 3. This is like a little dropper in a big vat of soup. Like she's like, my
Right.
max is 3, but I've had people go all the way up to 32. I, so so I was like,
30.
well, that's a range, you know, somewhere between 3 and 32. I said, yeah, give me one. Like, give me.
And I would have been the type of person I'd be like, okay, I'll start off with like maybe an 8 or a 9 and
And
then
see
move
where
up
it
because
goes.
yeah, it's crazy the amount. I don't even know where the spice came from. I don't know where I started liking it, but I'm the type, like if my nose is running and it's honestly too hot to even eat temperature wise, that's my type of spicy. Couldn't
So
tell you
you're
why.
you're the guy. If you were bald, you'd want your scalp sweating. You'd want your head sweating with that.
It would
The
need to
spice.
be.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would need to
Yes.
be. Well,
Yes.
well, that's great. So Monroe's hot chicken sandwich, extra hot. All right. So
One of my
I'm gonna
favorites.
give it a go one day here pretty soon. So
Let's
I've
do it.
tried Monroe's, but I definitely went the wimpy route, and I think I got tenders, not the sandwich.
Okay.
Um, well, so let's talk business. You mentioned when we first spoke, and one of the things that stuck with me was you mentioned, juggling multiple responsibilities while you're building your business. And that's something that, many business owners are experiencing. And I would say that if I had to describe it, that's definitely one of haboobs in business. That's one of the big walls of dust, right?
Right.
Juggling multiple responsibilities. What do I prioritize?
100%.
But I'd like to know, how do you structure your mornings to set yourself up for success as you're going into that business leader or entrepreneurial mode? As you're getting everything going, what are you doing in the morning as a business owner and just as a person who owns a business?
Yeah, no, I love that. So I'm an early bird. So I'm one of the type of people that I can go to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, no matter what. I'm getting up at about 5 a.m. every single morning. So basically, kind of how my routine I like to do it is I get up, have a little coffee, if that's what I'm going to be doing to kind of get the things going. And then I go to the gym.
Okay.
I'm one of those that I like to go to the gym super early.
Like,
Nobody's
get out of the
there.
house, go
Just
get your workout in.
exactly, be done with it. So when I come back, from that, then I just feel a lot more, ready for the day, refreshed.
Yeah.
So mostly after I do that, you shower and then you get ready and then you get going. So a lot of my routine has to do with waking up early, hitting the gym, and then just going for the day.
Nice. And so early
Yeah,
bird, you and I could definitely be friends. I can't seem to sleep past 5:30, and I often am up in the 4 o'clock range. And I'll tell myself the other night, so my son has to be at work now at 7, so he leaves around like 6:40 in the morning. And I told myself I was gonna sleep in because I had just got back from this trip. I drove there and back, so I was just really kind of shot. And I said, I told him at night, and I said, love you. Probably won't see you in the morning. Have a good day at work tomorrow. 5 o'clock, I was up. Like, so we're having coffee
see,
together.
and see, I love that though because a lot of times, especially as a business owner, if you're not taking the actual time to really be able to strategize kind of how your day is going to be,
Yeah.
it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm the same type of person where it's like I can go to bed at 12, at night. I'm still waking up at 5, 5:30.
Yeah.
My body has that natural alarm clock to where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're up, Anthony. Let's go. Let's get to the gym. After the gym, we either have time to read because I like to do a lot of reading and self development.
Yeah.
So when I have the time to be able to do that, that's exactly what it is that I like to do. So I completely understand what you're saying. 4:35 o'clock. I usually used to do 6, but now it's like my body's going
It just
backwards.
pushes
So it
back.
was
Yeah.
6, and now it's 5, and I'm like, what are we doing
What's
here?
happening?
So
It's
I
it's
get it.
so funny that you said like having that time in the morning is so important because I've known so many people. So being a leader and being a people leader and having teams under me for years, I had so many employees and I you stumble on these conversations, and I've known people who it's like they have to be at work at 9. I'm like, "Well, what time do you wake up?" And they're like, 7:30. I'm like, "Don't you have a 30-minute drive?" "Yeah." I'm like, "So you wake up so you wake up and you're out of your house and you're not gonna be in your house again for hours, and so you do everything that you need to do in the morning in 1 hour?" Like, and for me, I it's so funny because my teams, like, they would always laugh at me. And I had one guy, he would tell me, he's like, "You've had like an entire day by the time you get to the office." Like,
100%.
I
100%.
can't just wake up and then the next thing I'm doing is
Yeah,
getting into, whether it's in my home office, in my business today, or even in the past going to work. Like, I need that time to get my mind stabilized and, have
100%.
some time to myself.
And that's so important. What you just said right there is having time for yourself because one thing, especially as an early business that I struggled with, was having that time to actually decompress and actually take the time to clear my mind because I started to see a lot of times when you don't do that and you don't give that time to yourself, you're not going to be the best version of yourself or as a business owner. So a lot
Yeah.
of people nowadays, they're having, kids to juggle, relationships, yourself. I mean, there's a lot of different priorities that
Parents,
need to happen. Parents.
people might be dealing with aging parents or grandparents. My mom is a caregiver to my grandmother, and also she owns a caregiving agency. So she's giving of herself so much, and I'm always, telling her you have to take time
For you,
for you.
100%.
As business owners, we often, I think, I will say, have fallen victim in the past to believing that if I burn the candle at both ends, if I just push, 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 and Amanda comes last, that I'll get further. And it took a while, but years ago I realized no, I do not get further when I push, 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 push. I get further when I take care of me first. And there was a lot of reading and talking and coaching and different things that went into that. Now you shared on the last time that we talked a really powerful story. You shared a story about some of the struggles that your mom had in her business with marketing, different marketing agencies, and now obviously you are an agency owner. And I really appreciated your client first and client value, if you will, focus on making sure that what you're delivering is truly value to your client. So are
100%.
there any books or resources that have helped you navigate the marketing landscape, the business landscape, to avoid some of the similar pitfalls that I guess kind of almost catalyzed you into this business that you're in now?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think for me, a lot of it when I was growing up, it was for a reason. It was my why, for why I was doing what I was doing. So
Hmm.
at that time, I was doing everything I possibly could to be able to learn. That was going from taking courses online. Social media marketing world is a thing out in California every year. I
Okay.
was So that's something that they do out there in Anaheim, I believe. I would do that online because I wasn't able to obviously go, to
Yeah,
social
yeah,
media marketing world. So I would do courses and just go out there and actually learn. Like
yeah,
I would go and do it. I would work for free and then I would go by trial and error. Say, okay, hey, if I am good, I would love for you to leave me a review. If I'm bad, then I'm gonna learn, but at least I didn't take somebody's hard-earned money, and just basically trying it on them. So
yeah,
um, a lot of the marketing experience that I have had has been firsthand, and it's come from obviously, that story that me and you had talked about with my mom growing up. So um,
that's awesome. So social media marketing world, that's one I actually hadn't heard of, and they're still doing that.
yep, they're still doing it. I believe the next conference is coming up in April, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it is coming up though.
Hmm.
And they also have something called Social Media Marketing Society, and what that is it's an online platform where all of the best marketers in the world come together and they put on live conferences and webinars and workshops and all these different things. So I was doing a lot of those type of things, and nowadays that's what I'm doing a lot of is just making sure I'm always learning and always kind of honing in on my craft because, as you know, marketing changes all the time. It's
Yeah,
never staying the same,
yeah,
and if you or your business, is staying the same in terms of the old marketing you're doing, you're going to get left behind. So,
yeah. That's so true. Staying I was speaking with another business owner earlier today, actually, and one of the things that she shared was know your craft, and as a piece of advice to aspiring entrepreneurs, and that is so important. I don't know if I have heroes who are like celebrities or anything like that, but there are definitely people who I admire certain things about them. I have trouble with heroizing. I don't know what the word there is, but I have
yeah,
trouble
no, no, sure.
with people I don't know because the truth is you don't know them. And how many times have we thought this person is so amazing, and the next thing you know, here comes the scandal. But
Yeah, just like the
one,
one that was today, but yeah.
yeah, goodness gracious.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, when they bring
So
up
100%.
racketeering, you know it's not going to go well. Um,
Yeah, that's another story.
yeah, that's a fall from a high tower. But
100%.
d- what's his name? Now I got. Now I'm thinking of Diddy. Just kidding. I'm gonna edit that out because I don't want to. What's Warren Buffett? There we go. So Warren Buffett reads. He's a insatiable reader. That's one of his claims to fame. People who know him have vouched for that. He just is constantly reading. Now he's reading business reports, articles, financial reports because he's an investor, right?
Right,
So he's constantly wanting to look at that. But to that end, knowing your craft, that's his craft. He's an investor, so he's constantly devouring information that's going to make him a better and quite arguably at least one of the best investors of modern times. And so, things like social media world, for you, that's huge. How many marketers out there possibly not staying up on what's new, are not, learning the trends. I'm an
100%.
alumnus of a program called through McKinsey. McKinsey's a big consulting firm, but they have a management accelerator. And one of the concepts that McKinsey teaches is thinking future back, right? Trying
Okay,
to understand what is the world going to be like in the future, and how do I either affect that today or be ahead of the curve today, right? So
100%.
that's really great that you're focused on industry knowledge on a day to day. That's huge.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, just like you were saying, people do need to understand that marketing is always changing, and so do we. We need to be changing. We need to be adapting to what it is that is going on in the new landscape of marketing. I
Yeah.
mean, things that were working even a couple years ago are not the same things now. I
Yeah.
mean, Instagram literally just came out with something where they're basically saying if you're not making reels and reels that are under a certain amount of time, they're not going to show it to as many people. So it's like, if you don't understand that and you don't know that, then your posts aren't going to get as much reach, it's not going to get any engagement. It might not even really be seen because the algorithms are always changing. So I feel like in today's world, marketers really need to understand, and business owners, that what worked then doesn't necessarily work now. But there's also a thing of if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at the
Mhm.
same time, you need to be constantly learning, constantly adapting. Yeah, it's 100% of
Yeah.
what you brought up.
What you just shared made me think about externalities also. So, Apple, for instance, has a huge impact on what works and what doesn't work with paid ads specifically. Can you talk a little bit about that?
With paid ads?
With Apple, and how when if they change rules or privacy settings or requirements, there was a big change that they made. I want to say it was last year, and
Yep, I
it
remember that.
really affected who sees your ads in the
Yeah,
first place.
because a lot of times now, with, well, at least back then, with what Apple was doing was the privacy stuff. So a
Mhm.
lot of times with Facebook advertising, you were able to basically get people's information and things without necessarily consent to the extent. So it's like nowadays people are, you can opt out, if you of the those certain type of things. So now it's making it so much harder for Facebook advertising and just things in general to be able to collect that data to then
Mhm.
be able to retarget a lot of these people. Because I'm sure, just like and to a lot of the listeners out there, how many times have you thought about something and then all of a sudden it pops up on your news feed? It's because they're able to see that and hear kind of what's going on. So then it's able to retarget and kind of do those different type of things. And then now
Yeah.
you get an ad. It's it's
No,
pretty
that's
crazy, but
or
yeah,
yeah, it's always a little jarring. I won't lie. And even being, industry adjacent, it's always just a little bit jarring for me. I'm like, I was literally having a conversation with my mom about, X restaurant, and then next thing you know, they're like, "Have you been to Maple and Ash?" Like, oh my
And
gosh,
it's
really?
the exact same thing. Me and my wife were looking up like baby stuff because we had just figured out that we were going to be having a baby, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, once as soon as we start looking up one thing on TikTok, I go in there and my whole entire TikTok's flooded. It's the algorithm. It's being tracked. It's being remarketed to us. So
Yeah.
it's honestly
Yeah.
amazing, and people really need to figure out that algorithm and understand it because then they're going to become way better marketers.
No, that's so true. And I was just looking up real quickly, smartphone market share. So as of July of this year, Apple's got 55.91% of the market share according to Oberlo. And
Wow,
so 55.91% of phone users went from having to opt out of seeing certain marketing or retargeting to having to opt in. So they were auto opted out by default. And so you have a big swath of people who just aren't thinking about it, and they're not going to opt in because it's like no one told me that I needed to opt in, or I just swiped when that notification came up. I was just like, whatever. And then you have another swath of people who are like, cool, I definitely don't want ads. And then everything in between. And, as a marketer, I don't know what they are, but I believe there were some ways to kind of improve still your outcomes. I'm sure you you know what they are, but if you didn't know that, right, as someone running a marketing agency, then how are you going to help your clients to circumvent or to deal with that change?
100%. I mean, there was a lot of agency owners like during that time. I mean, we're freaking out. Like it was the worst thing that could have happened, especially with Facebook advertising in general, because it changed the entire landscaping of marketing. And that's kind of crazy to be able to say that Google and Apple and those have that much power to be able to do that. So whatever it is that they do, in the new Google updates and things that happen, if you're not understanding it, you don't know that that happened, you're wasting your clients' marketing dollars. It's not going to be as effective, and they're not going to get as much of an ROI. So
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. And you got to stay up on the news too, right? Because like talking about thinking future back, a lot of times there are either hints or notes that kind of breadcrumbs that something might be coming, and you can kind of be ahead of the curve. But if you're not, in that industry news, if you're not, a part of relevant industry associations or like you had mentioned, consortiums essentially of thought leaders, then you might miss out.
100%.
Yeah. Well, kind of shifting gears a little, you talked about the challenge of balancing working in the business versus working on the business. What's one productivity tip that kind of helps you to stay focused and efficient throughout the day and really, either work towards a clear balance of or balance out that in versus on? That's a big challenge for business owners.
No, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, at the end of the day, when I was doing both, it was insanely hard to be really good at one thing because a
Mhm.
lot of times with now new business owners, we do everything.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
trust other people to also do what we do in our business. And so at the same time, what I had to learn was how to have that time where I'm like, okay, I'm working in, and then I'm having this time where I'm working on. So, for example, when I first started out, I was doing a lot of lead generation. So I would be doing all the lead generation in the morning, doing all these different things. Kind of after a certain amount of time, if that's after 6 o'clock, then I started to work on the business. So you got to be able to have different times when you're actually
Yeah.
able to do it. And I know that's hard for everybody to even be able to do just because of their responsibilities. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, you're going to be working in and on the company. So
Yeah.
after 5, 6 o'clock, that's when I was doing networking. I was on Zooms and meeting people and Facebook advertising and community groups and neighborhoods to really get your name out there. So then
Yeah.
you're able to then work on the business, and then during the day you're working in it. But one productivity thing that I did that I feel like really helped was I started to only check my emails and things towards the end of the day. Because that was one thing where you started to work in and on at the same exact time,
Yeah.
and now you're spreading yourself too thin because okay, oh, you get a text message, you get an email, you're responding to those each time. So
Yeah.
then now you're not able to actually get the things you want to get done. So I feel like that was one thing that I really did that helped me with that in versus on mindset stuff.
That's a really big deal. When you're a business owner, do you feel like, well, until you start to set those boundaries, a lot of times, especially family and friends, they think, well, Anthony's at home. I can call Anthony, or hey, do you want to get lunch? Do you want to do and there for me, there was almost a feeling of like guilt in saying no, because it's like, well, no one does own my time right now, so technically I can respond to that text message. I can do this, I can do that. But then it's like, yeah, but I'm running a business here and I need to be generating revenue throughout the day. And, I'm not generating revenue on the PS5, or, or wherever it might be. And so have you ever experienced any of that?
No, 100%. I mean, nowadays, like my wife works from home with me too. So even then, it's really hard to be able to kind of separate that. Oh, let's go do this or let's go do that. Even though I'm here, I'm not actually here. So it's been the same thing with like family because my mom owns her own business.
Hmm.
So it's like having times where it's like, let's go do this or let's go to lunch. And obviously, those things are okay to be able to do within
Yeah. Yeah.
moderation, but I do know 100% of what you're saying is just like telling people like, no, I can't because I have to do this, even though I work, my own business and my own
Yeah.
time, my own schedule, but it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like controlling your own schedule gives you a little like less control of your schedule.
Yeah.
In some ways, because if you're going into an office and clocking into somebody else's clock, or on somebody else's dime, it's like, well, yeah, I'm at the office from whatever to whatever. And so it's like a an automatic boundary that our society really understands. Even though entrepreneurship is in the fabric of our society, I still think there's a little bit of misunderstanding around that,
Mm.
especially with friends or family who aren't maybe entrepreneurs, and you know maybe they have a Tuesday off and they assume we'll be able to go and shop or do whatever, and it's like, well, actually I don't. I want to tell you a funny story.
It's the
So
truth.
my best friend, she reached out to me and my wife one evening, and she's like, "Hey, my godson, needs a ride to school tomorrow. Can either of you give him a ride to school?" Or yeah, I think it was a ride to school. I have an early meeting that I have to get to or something. And I said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do it at that time. I have a meeting." Now, my godson is not he's not like little. I mean, he's a teenager, so I was like, he's gonna be fine. We're gonna figure this out. And so my wife said, yeah, she could do it. And she's a realtor, and so she shifted her schedule and made that change. I wasn't able to do that. So now when she's getting ready to go and I was in here in my office and I'm working on something, and she said, "Hey, I thought you said you had a meeting. You couldn't get Vinny." I said, "I do have a meeting. It's right there on my schedule." She said, "The meeting's with you?" I was like, "Yeah. If I don't keep my meetings with myself, then who is gonna keep them?" Like, it was one of those. It was one of those tasks that I had like pushed back a couple of times. I was like, I can't push it back again. And
I know that all too well. Yes. That's so funny.
she was like looking at me
No,
like, "Really?"
yeah. No, 100%. There's been so many times where something in that same situation has happened and I'm kind of just telling people like, look, if it doesn't get done now, then I'm not setting myself up for, a better tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it's like a lot of times people think within that, especially if they're not within the same industry or entrepreneurship, that we can just do it another time, especially if it's not something that's pressing. But
Yeah.
then they also don't understand if you do that, then you're putting yourself behind for tomorrow, the next day, the next day. So if you're not actually just taking the time to do it, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So it's funny you say that because I don't know how many times that a similar situation has happened to me like that,
Yeah.
where I'm like, I don't know what to say.
I
Like,
don't know what to say. It was a very important meeting. Like,
yeah,
and you know what
that's so
they do
funny.
say, tomorrow never comes, right? All we ever have is today. So if we're, like you
100%.
said, if we're always saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do that, time doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is this moment right now, and you got to take care of that moment.
100%. 100%.
So, one of the things that you mentioned in our initial conversation was the importance of building a team and delegating tasks. And so,
Yeah.
as we were just kind of talking about, getting to working in the business or getting to working on the business versus in the business and how to kind of balance that out. Can you share maybe a significant mistake maybe that you made early on, that reinforced that lesson of needing to delegate and build begin to build a team around you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with just being able to provide the best results and things for your clients. I mean, there was a lot of times where I thought I can do everything myself. There was this one time where I had, a couple different clients, a bunch of different tasks that I needed to do. And I slowly started to see myself drowning, like slowly started to see myself falling behind. And I'm like, why can't I get this done? I can do this. But then I started to see, then you start getting into that stress mode, and then you start in that pre
Yeah.
contemplation mode, and then you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
slowly started to see that I'm like, okay, like, although I'm really good at what I do, I'm never going to be able to hit my pinnacle of what I can be doing until I found an actual team to be
Yeah.
able to help. And I know a lot of the listeners can relate to this. It's hard to be able to find somebody that's going to be able to work just as hard as you do, because at the end of the day, it's your business. And a
Your
lot of
dream.
times you can't expect other people to work as hard as you're going to work. But I feel like that is one of the struggles of being able to find good team is making sure you're having the same values and making sure you guys are standing for all of the same things. I think once I really started to understand and see that, it made building a team a lot easier. But I'll be the first to say failed, in the beginning because I wasn't able to delegate. I didn't
Yeah.
want to let go.
It's a what do they call it? It's a thought distortion that says if I'm not doing it, it won't get done, or if I don't do it,
Yep,
it won't be done well.
exactly.
And that's honestly where, one of the things that I do that I help businesses with is putting their standard operating procedures and their processes in place, their onboarding processes, really building out a leadership execution plan that helps to be able to hand off tasks. And one of the biggest challenges that I experienced definitely early on was that thought of, well, if I don't do it, it won't be, no one can do it as well as I can do it. So that means I have to do it. And so that means I'm working, 7 a.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. every day. That means I'm not taking lunch. That means, I and at the end of the day, that actually diminishes your leadership abilities, and it
Yes,
and it diminishes your ability to grow and scale because you're only one person, right?
you're only
I'm
one
only
person.
one person,
Yep,
and time is a finite thing. And if I'm spending my time doing YZ, I cannot spend my time doing ABC because
exactly.
my time is gone, right?
Yep. And that's one of the most important parts then about delegating. And like you said, when you said a lot of companies and you're helping them create those SOPs, people don't understand how important that is for delegating
Yeah,
because you can have everything in your head. We're the experts in our industry,
yeah,
not necessarily somebody that we might be teaching. So it's like if you don't have that SOP already, then you're never truly going to be able to grow as a business because then the goal of a business to be able to duplicate versions of yourself and or of
yeah,
other people that again share the same beliefs as you and the same values in terms of business, so then you guys can obviously go and build something great,
yeah,
because that's what I'm even still in the process doing, being able to try to find people that we're on the same wavelength about these things. We have the same values of wanting to provide for our clients and give them the best service that we could possibly give them. But it didn't start until I had an SOP as well that I can
Mhm.
actually share with people. So I liked how you said that.
Yeah, no, and you know what? So one of the things that I've said in the past that and that I probably will always say, I truly believe people want to do their best. People want to succeed. And if I as the business owner or as the leader am not creating an environment where people can succeed at what they're doing without me, I am not helping people to feel like they are successful. And when people don't feel like they're successful, they don't want to work for you. Eventually they want to move on, right? Because, you know, gosh, I had an employee once ask me, "Do you want me to CC you on every email that I send?" No, no cap. Like literally asked me that question. And
Yeah.
I was like, "No,
No.
absolutely not. I barely
But
read my own emails. Like, what do you
hmm
No, I
yeah.
don't want that. Has someone asked you for that before? Oh yeah, such and
So
such. Whoa.
yeah, no, and that's funny you say that too, because just like you said, if you aren't being the leader that is not going to like baby your employees and like not help them grow, because at the end of the day, like you said, you do want to be able to say like, okay, I'm overseeing everything. You guys are the ones that are able to do these things without me. I can go take a 2 week vacation, or I could be gone for a month, and I know my business is going to be running just as
Yeah.
if I was there. So it's definitely something that's a leadership thing from our standpoint of needing to even know how to be good leaders like that.
Yeah.
But then obviously it's the people that you bring in as well. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting you say that.
That's like how can I go to these conferences and make these connections, right? How can you go to these consortiums or be in meetings and having lunches with potential contracts that are going to be, major for the organization if you have to be checking over every document or every deliverable? So yeah, we have to as leaders create people who are able to operate without us. And I think that's scary for some business owners,
100%.
um, because, well, if they can operate without me, then they don't need me. If
Yeah.
they don't need, and I think, but that those are two separate things. So,
Yeah.
do you all have a baby on the way, or
Yep.
so,
Due in February. Yep.
and is this first child? Okay. So I'm not giving parenting advice. Is the last thing I'm going to do. So my son's 18 years old, right? Him being able to do things on his own and build and go and live his own life does not mean that he doesn't need me. Those are not mutually exclusive, right? Me
Mm-mm.
being 38 years old and my mom and dad, like, I don't not need them, just need them in different ways, right? And so as business owners, we have to release that fear of not being needed. And you did express a little bit of concern around the current state of the marketing industry and clients having trust issues. How does this impact your approach to business? And are there, any major fears that you have as a business owner?
I mean, I guess I would just say a lot of kind of the marketing landscape nowadays, people are truly afraid to work with people in social media marketing and lead generation and SEO because they aren't getting the results that they want. And
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but I think a lot of it has to do with people not keeping up to date with the things that are going on in today's marketing landscape. I mean, they're using things that used to work 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And sure, although it worked, now it doesn't.
yeah,
So it's definitely making my, job a lot harder, other marketers' jobs a lot harder of getting clients to be able to trust you again and really be able to do that. But I think for me, I've just taken a different approach in it in terms of I'm trying to be able to provide the value up front. I'm not over promising and under delivering. I'm telling clients exactly what it is that how we're going to be able to help them, if we're going to be able to help them. And if we can't help them, we're telling them that as well. And I think a lot of business owners, especially people in marketing, need to start taking that approach because I'm the type of person that I learned from that happening to my mom. So I get it. I get there's a different level of that needs to be put into dealing with, people in social media and marketing. And a lot of people are scared to do that. So
Yeah.
I think for me, that's kind of been the scariest thing, I guess I would say, is just the people that are out there that aren't doing those things are kind of messing it up for the people that are doing those things. But at the same time, that's our job as business owners to be able to educate, our potential clients and really be able to work with them on a deeper level than just, making them money. How can I actually help grow your company? And
Yeah.
I'm going to treat your company just like it's mine. So
Man, what you said there was really, really powerful. What was working, 2 or 3 years ago is not working now. Digital marketing moves so fast. You have to stay on top of the trend. Otherwise, you will be left behind.
you're going to be left behind,
You will be left behind and not
and it
not possibly, yeah,
and your clients will suffer for it.
and
I
your
mean,
clients will
it's
suffer.
and then it kind of just creates that trend again of once again, I'm not getting the results, that I wanted, or I'm not getting the results that I was promised because we think that what we did, like I said a couple of years ago, is going to work the same. And every client is different. Every strategy is different. You can't use those same strategies that work for that client, move it over to this one and expect it to get the same results. So we're definitely in a different era. I feel like in marketing, like you said, a lot of things are changing. There's always something that's new, but I would hope, for the listeners and people that are out there that are in marketing to make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you go and do your research. Make sure you're doing the training before you're out there trying to get clientele. And if you're a business owner and you're listening to this as well, making sure you're doing your due diligence on the people that you decide to work with. It's just so important nowadays because a lot of business owners are getting scammed and not getting their ROI. So
Yeah, there's no other word for it. Scammed.
and
Absolutely.
it's unfortunate and it
Yeah.
honestly really breaks my heart because at the end of the day, I know that struggle of wanting results or needing results and it's not happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these are people's livelihoods. This is how they're able to feed their children, how they're able to send their kids to school, how they're able to put food on the table. So if you're taking that from them with false promises of what you can do for them, it's just not a good look for the industry. There's a lot of people out there, we're moving in a different direction. People are trying to do better. I always say I want to work with the people that have been, scammed or that have been hurt, that have been misguided, so then I can show them that there are good agencies out there.
Yeah. That is huge. And can you kind of elaborate a little bit on your hopes and aspirations for this venture and overall, what's your biggest hope for your business?
We really wanted it to be, like you said, that one-stop shop for marketers and or business owners. We want it to be to where business owners don't have to go to 6 7 different companies to be able to get one, a couple different services. We
Yeah.
want you to be able to come to us with confidence and know that we are going to be the best in our industry and we're going to be able to help best effectively do your marketing of anything that you need. So that's why I ended up creating Prospects on Fire in the first place, which is why
Yeah.
I'm really starting to dive deeper into building connections with other business owners to then be able to provide my clients with the best services possible. So I feel like my goals for Prospects on Fire is just making sure we're creating a new wave of how people are going to think about marketing. We want to almost shake up the industry in a sense of these are the new things that you guys should be doing. These are the new ways that you should be treating your clients. these are the ways that are the results that you're going to be getting for those clients. So I think that's my biggest goal for Prospects on Fire is to really revolutionize the way marketers are looked at in 2024 and beyond, and really show people that marketing's back and it's as good as ever. You
Yeah.
just have to be able to find those right people to be able to work with, and hopefully, we're able to accomplish that with Prospects on Fire.
That I love that, and I love the passion that you have for supporting business owners and helping them to execute where maybe they failed in the past, or maybe there's, a significant fear around trust.
So,
And so as we close out, you talked about starting your business in college without initially actually considering marketing as the business or as a career.
yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self knowing what you know now?
Hmm. I guess I would say that's a really good question. I mean, there's so many things I wish I could tell, my younger self just in general, but I feel like a lot of it would be just never doubting yourself. And
Mm,
I feel like that's something that a lot of people deal with. It's just that self-doubt, feeling like you're almost a phony just because you don't know everything or you're not to this expert level yet. You feel
yeah,
like you're just not that person that could be giving people advice or taking people's money to do marketing. I wish I can go back and tell him, don't doubt yourself. Just go for it. Because when you do go for it and you actually put the passion in and you put the work in, you're going to get out what you put in.
yeah,
So back in the day when I was doing that and helping my mom with her marketing and really getting that going, I didn't think of marketing as something that I'd be able to do because, I didn't think I was smart enough to be able to do it. I didn't think I was educated enough to be able to do it. But then obviously after going in college and helping people and doing those things, that self-doubt slowly started to fade away. And then obviously now I am where I am. So telling them, don't doubt yourself.
yeah. I love that so much. I really, really do.
Yeah.
Oh, Anthony, we're
Thank you.
we're we're coming to a close, but before we close out, can you just take a moment, share who you are, share what your business is, how people could contact you so that we could make sure that everyone knows where all this wisdom came from.
Yeah, no, 100%. And first of all, I appreciate you having me on. This was great to even be able to talk, back and forth about kind of the things that are going on currently. So I just appreciate you having me on. But you can reach me both on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook at Anthony Isaac Walker has underscore social media marketing under it. Same thing on Instagram, Anthony Isaac Walker on my business page on there. And then you can reach us at Prospects on Fire, just how it sounds, prospectsonfire.com, and you can reach us there. But Prospects on Fire is trying to revolutionize and change the way that digital marketing is in today's landscape. So I tell people, if you're a business owner and you're afraid, you don't know where to start, you're not getting enough traction in your business, enough leads, contact us. We would love to be able to help. We'd love to be able to sit down with you and really try to figure out how it is we're going to be able to grow your business. And at the end of the day, that's who I am as a core of a person. I want to do whatever it is that's best for you. Just like I wish somebody would have been able to help my mom back in the day before I got started, before she was able to waste a lot of her marketing dollars and things on things. I want to be able to help people find a better way to be able to utilize their marketing dollars. So that's me. That's me in a nutshell.
I love it, Anthony. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure
Of
having you
course.
on.
Likewise.
This has been Hustles and Haboobs. Keep an eye out for our next episode. Make sure that you like, make sure that you share and subscribe. We are bringing the stories of Arizona business owners right to you with meaningful and engaging conversations around business. And also, in case you forgot, Monroe's Hot Chicken, extra spicy, the works. Give it a shot. Hit us in the comments. Let us know what you thought of that sandwich, and we'll catch you next time.